over there, and she was like, "And bitch pudding." Yeah. Hi. I had to make sure my skirt was long enough to sit down. Sorry. I think we're good. I think we're good. All right, we're good. Now I'm good. All the bits are covered. Hi. So I usually just kind of fumble through like the first 10 minutes of this, and then I usually find a rhythm. So thank you guys for coming out. I was meant to be here 5 years ago, I guess now. 5 years ago was the earthquake. 4 years ago, and it was about a week or two after the earthquake, so they moved us to Wellington. So this is actually the first time I've been to Christchurch. So got a chance to walk around a bit yesterday, and you know, it's pretty inspiring that the city's starting to come back, and so anyway, you guys should be proud of yourselves. You know, it's pretty amazing. We went through it in the States after 9/11, and then New Orleans after Katrina. So it's you know, I know what that's like to see a city rebuild when it's really tough. So you guys again should be really proud of yourselves. So it's kind of awesome. So yeah, happy to be here. That's funny. Yeah, and I'm sorry I'm only here for one day, but working. So, and I have to head back tomorrow to go film the next season of Longmire, which I think that just started airing here, something like that. So we're on season 4. I promised I promised to say spoiler before Battlestar. So I will give you time to do earmuffs. Okay. And I guess I'll just start with questions. That's the easiest way. I mean, you guys aren't really here to listen to me talk about nonsense. So I guess we'll just start with questions, and then I can actually, you know, talk intelligently. I'll try anyway.
So if you're on that side, just line up in front of the microphone. Remember to sit down so that everyone can see. If you're on this side, because I didn't get enough exercise yesterday, put your hand up and I'll come find you. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Rob.
Good to have you here, Katee. I hope you're enjoying your time here in Christchurch.
Yeah.
Again, I thank you for helping my wife to be interested in Battlestar Galactica, because she loves that series, but she doesn't normally like sci-fi, so it's been a big help to her. Yeah. Anyway, what I was going to say is you've been Sarah Corvus in Violent Woman, a villain, and you've also been the hero Starbuck in Battlestar. My question is, which do you prefer, villain or hero?
Villain. It's just more fun. You know what's funny though about Sarah Corvus was I actually sort of thought she was a hero. I think that villains are more complicated to play in the sense that, you know, your goal is to have the audience root for the villain. And if they do, then you've done your job, you know? And so that's why Sarah Corvus was so fun for me, because I just got to go to work and be completely insane. And try and get the audience to root for her, which they did. So it was awesome, yeah. It's really fun. Heroes are fun too, but I sort of feel like it's slightly limiting. Like when you're the villain, you just completely balls out crazy. And it doesn't matter, because you're like, I'm a bad guy, I'm supposed to be insane. Yeah. So, I went to the Haunted Maze last night, which was awesome. So if anybody here worked that, I hate you. And I went with Manu and Carl, who decided to actually scare me more. So they would hide also and jump out with the scary people. So I was screaming, my throat hurts so bad today from screaming. But the guy with the chainsaw was so nice. I lost my shoe, and he turned off the chainsaw and helped me find my shoe. And then turned the chainsaw back on and scared me and chased me out of the maze. So I was like, oh, Kiwis are so nice. Yeah, so anyway, alright. Question, sorry.
Yeah, when you got the nose Starbuck, what was your reaction knowing that it being a male audience?
The funny thing is I didn't know that it was a male. So I wasn't born when the original series was on. It was on about a year before I was born. And so I called my dad and I told him that I got the part and I was so excited. And I told him what the role was and he went, what? And I told him again and he was like, I think you should go watch it. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever, it's totally fine. So I'm sitting with my girlfriend drinking, as you do, and we're getting ready to watch, an episode of Battlestar Galactica, and we're sitting there drinking wine and watching, and like 10 minutes goes by, and like they're talking about Starbuck, and I was like, we must be really drunk, because we totally missed her. It was really weird. And so she goes, I think that, and I was like, oh snap, that's why my dad wanted me to watch it. So I had no idea. And so then I turned it off and never watched it again. Because I was like, this isn't gonna help me, it's just gonna make my job harder. So I turned it off and watched 10 minutes of it. I've tried to watch it since. All respect to the 70s and the 80s. I think we did a really good job.
I enjoyed your Starbuck there.
Thank you. It was a bit more masculine than his Starbuck.
Exactly.
Hi.
Hi.
I've actually been told to give a message to you.
Fantastic.
Beautiful.
Did you say?
Watch it. I'm gonna watch it, don't worry. I have been told to tell you that you are awesome and you are very cool actually.
Thank you.
And I don't know if this is gonna mean anything to you, but apparently it would be awesome if you played Carol Danvers.
It would. An interesting thing about age and being a woman is that the older we get, what's the nice way to put this? In our society, when men get older, they seem to get better with age, and for some reason, as women get older in this business and in society, we seem to be replaced. Oh no, sweetie, we don't shrivel up anymore, we just Botox. It's fine, don't worry. I'm actually 80. So yeah, the funny thing about a 2018 release is that I'll be 38. So it's, I honestly don't think it's a problem, but if I was banking on somebody to make a series of movies off of, I would pick somebody that was in their 20s. So, sadly, probably not.
Also, what would be your favourite scene from Battlestar Galactica?
My favorite scene?
Yeah.
For some reason, I went right to the sex scene with Jamie Bamber, and I don't know why, because we said scene, not episode, and if you were going to say episode, I would have said unfinished business, but scene, because it was so funny. There was this scene where she's, doing the dirty, oh my gosh, spoiler! Is this a spoiler? No, this is first season. Okay, good. So there's this scene where she's doing the business with Gaius Baltar, but she's imagining Apollo, and so we were filming the scene, and I just stayed in the same position because, it's a fantasy or whatever, and I did the scene with James first, and then the director literally just goes, all right, James, get off of her. Jamie, your turn. I was like, oh my God. My parents would be so proud. This is good. This is great. I've come so far. So yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Are you able to tell us a little bit about your friendship with Trisha Helfer and how that came to be? Because you guys seem like you have a really good time together.
We do seem to, I'm just kidding. We do. Trisha's one of my best friends. I love her dearly. we didn't really get the opportunity to work together a lot in season 1 because she was off in his head and I was off, I don't even, finding the arrow of Apollo or something, and doing Apollo. It was, you know, I was having fun. So we didn't really have a scene together until that fight. And not a spoiler, you've seen this. And at the very end of it, we kind of blocked out half the scene, and the director realized that it was going really well, and he's like, you guys just ad-lib some more fight stuff. And we were like, okay, cool. And we were really like beating each other up. And we kind of realized that we were cut from the same cloth in that moment when we got to the end of the scene, and we did the entire thing ourselves without our stunt doubles. And we got to the scene at the end where we fall off, and we were so stoked because we thought they were going to let us do it. And so we're like, this is awesome, like, do we need pads or anything? And they're like, you are out of your mind if you think that we are going to launch 2 actresses like 2 floors off of a building. And we were both so upset because we were like, but we've done the whole thing, it would just be such a waste. And that we just became really good friends. And both got our motorcycle licenses together, so we, you know, she's like a small town girl from Canada, and I grew up in a really small town in Oregon, so yeah, we get along really well. Like, we kind of, our friendship complements each other. I'm a little insane, and she's really buttoned up, so we tend to match well.
Oh, okay, sorry. When you're taking a character from a script two-dimensionally, making it into a three-dimensional person, you've got to include some stuff on your own. So Kara Threes has a really good background. It was already established in the series. Was there anything that you brought to the character, whether it was ever shown in the series or not, that you brought to Kara?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's always especially in television, there's always a piece of you in every character you play, because it would be exhausting to play something so far away from yourself on a daily basis for, you know, for 7 years potentially. So with Kara, on the page, she was written very much like a hothead and very strong and very masculine on the page. She was beautifully written. I mean, you know, the writers from Battlestar, we were so spoiled that they were just phenomenal writers. I think that because I was 21 when I got the role, I was the youngest cast member, that I was a little vulnerable. I mean, I'd been working since I was 14, so there was a part of me that felt like kind of, you know, like this was old hat, you know, but then there was another part of me that was so much younger than these guys that I felt a little insecure. And so as an actor, I've always been insecure. I never studied, so I didn't really know, you know, when people talked about all these different techniques that they used, I was like, I just go stand in the mirror and see if I can make my face look that way, because I really didn't know what I was doing. And so I think that vulnerability was that Kara had, that's me, for sure. That's who I am as a person. So that's something that she has, that definitely.
I'm personally a huge fan of comic books, particularly DC Universe. I was wondering if you
I never could have guessed.
Well, if given the opportunity to play a comic book character, whether it be a superhero or villain from Marvel, DC, or whatever, who would you pick and why?
I don't really know. Hi, what's up? How you doing? I don't know. You know, I grew up kind of like obsessive about, my brother was the one who read the comic books, like the action hero comic books, and I read Betty and Veronica. And then I would kind of steal his comic books. I mean, I've always been more drawn to the villains, and I did grow up loving Carol Danvers. I really did. And then some really good. I loved Typhoid Mary. It's been done already though. It was done in Elektra, I think, sort of. Wasn't it done in Elektra? I think that Typhoid Mary was not Typhoid Mary. What's her name? It is Typhoid Mary. Yeah, it was in Elektra. That was a fun character too. So as far as that, I don't really know. I mean, there's been some interesting offers, to do the TV show Shield, and I just haven't seen one come up yet that interested me so far. So I don't know. I don't really know. Sorry, that doesn't answer your question.
Hey Katee.
Hi.
So preparing for your role as Starla, which is obviously a very physically capable character, and I would say quite combative. But on the inside, she's also very broken, I guess, on account of her relationship with her mother. Which part of that was the most difficult to prepare for, and what did you have to do to prepare yourself for that?
Yeah, it's the physicality of her and the strength of her is always the easiest stuff for me to play. It's because I think it's the most transparent. I always found the emotional stuff to be incredibly difficult and heartbreaking for her because it showed a side of her that was just so vulnerable, and we didn't really know in the beginning if people wanted her to be that, because people were so against her being a woman in the first place that to then take her that vulnerable and that insecure, we were a little worried that there would be some stereotypes kind of thrown her way. So that stuff. I mean, as far as technically, the stuff in the Vipers was always the hardest, because the guys had a zipper to be able to go to the bathroom, and the girls did not, obviously. So it would take 20 minutes to get in and out of the Viper, and then you couldn't drink water because you then had to go to the bathroom, and it was really hot, so you'd sit in there, and then I'd fall asleep because they'd forget you were in there, and they would just work around you, and then they'd have to wake you up, and you couldn't. So that stuff was always the most challenging. Because it kind of feels like, remember when you're a little kid and you play in a cardboard box and you are convinced it's a race car and you can play in that cardboard box for 4 hours? That's what the Vipers were like. So, yeah.
Hi Katee.
Hi.
I'm live tweeting this because I just have
Why not?
deep fear of being alone in the world.
It's sort of true. Don't we all?
I don't want to get into it. So somebody who follows
I met a therapist last night. So, if you need...
cool. So this person who follows me, I don't know who they are, but they go by the name Ume's Blue Tongue. Asked me to ask you a question. I thought it was kind of funny, so I'm going to do it. Can you ask her if she's watched her boyfriend's work on Shortland Street?
Sorry.
I don't even know what that is.
You are so lucky.
What is that? I have seen him play his character in Short Poppies when he was gay. That's the TV series here, right? That he did. I've seen that. What is that? What's Shortland?
Shortland Street is New Zealand's longest running medical drama.
Was he on that?
Soap opera.
Hey, an actor's got to feed his family, you know what I'm saying?
No, I didn't.
Don't. Why would you bring that up? So you've got your daytime soaps in America, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
They're all getting cancelled.
Yeah, this would be like that if they were worse. You know how the soup makes fun of the Spanish? Yeah, do that in English.
Telenovas?
Yeah, do that in English. Shortland Street.
What did he play? Was he a doctor or
Hey,
something?
ambulance driver. Which I only know because I was researching his bio.
We believe you.
Sorry, I'm all red now.
Next question, please.
Hey Katie,
Hi.
as someone who listens to podcasts, how are the schmoes know like in real life?
Really awesome. So Christian and I met, I took a meeting over at Horncastle, which is Joel Silver's company, like 10 years ago, for a movie that ended up not happening, but Christian was an assistant there, I think, at the time, and they left me in the waiting room so long that he and I started talking, and he just became a really good friend of mine, and he's a really funny stand-up comedian, and just a really good guy, and Ellis is as well. I mean, everyone from the Schmoes know. I mean, there's a reason why I keep going back. You know, the guys are just really, really good guys, and yeah, it's nice to have good, like, kind people on your list of friends in Los Angeles, to be honest. So, yeah.
Hi, Katie.
Hi.
So my question is a Battlestar question. It's also a spoiler question. So, my question is, obviously the end of Battlestar, particularly for your character, is quite controversial amongst Battlestar fans. What is your...
We're kind of working here.
All right. Sorry.
The finale, especially for your character, is quite controversial. What is your personal feelings towards how your character pans out in the end?
Spoiler. All right. I totally liked the way she ended. You know, the interesting thing about it was I always said to Ron Moore, I just don't want her to, like, run off into the sunset with Apollo and be like, you know, like skipping off and be happy. She was never good happy. I just wanted her to be content. And so I actually changed. We'd shot the end with Apollo before I'd shot my end with Anders. And so I changed the dialogue in the scene, which we did all the time on Battlestar. We ad-libbed constantly. At the very end, I was just supposed to go in, stare at him in the bathtub, and walk out. That was it. And then he flies off into the sun.
Do you think it would have been more appropriate to have gone with him?
She did, I think. So here's the deal. The reason I had the dialogue change with Anders. So she takes off her dog tags and hands them to him, and crying because she loves him. And he says, "I'll see you on the other side." They know that they're going to be together again very shortly. And that's why I changed the dialogue in that scene, and we actually had that interaction, because I wanted her to be content, and she didn't have that with her ending with Lee, so I gave her that with Anders. So, done with the spoilers. Earmuffs can come off now.
Welcome. Hi. I just wanted to say, because there was such a backlash in regards to the female casting for Starbuck at the beginning, did it take you longer to feel validated in your own performance? And did you even want to go rub reviews in people's faces? Because I know I did on your behalf.
You know what's interesting? We were at Comic-Con before the miniseries aired. They were showing pieces of it at Comic-Con before it had aired, and we got booed. Like, really booed. I mean, it was really bad. I walked out on stage and, like, you would have thought that I, like, murdered a family member. It was intense hatred. And then I immediately wanted to say, Boomer's now an Asian woman. Did anyone notice that? No? All right. So, I'm just kidding. We joked about it constantly, and she was like, I guess I went under the radar. Yeah, so you know, for the first couple months, I did, like when we were shooting the miniseries, we went to the internet cafe because you didn't really have laptops then. It's terrifying. So we would go to the internet cafe and log in and check the reviews or what the blogs were saying, and when somebody said that I looked like I climbed up the ugly tree, fell down it, hit every branch on my face the entire way down, and then landed on my fat ass, I turned it off and never looked again. I was like, well, you can't win, can you? So I was like, all right. And I realized at that moment that you can never make everybody happy. And not only that, like the internet has provided, to some extent, a beautiful place for people to have anonymity and be able to talk about things with that privacy and you know, have this like far-reaching connection with other people, which is amazing. But on the other extent, or the other side, it's given people the anonymity to be incredibly mean and to say things that they would never say to someone's face. And so I stopped looking. Yes, and I never read the reviews. My mom would send me one when she thought it was good, things like that. But yeah, and then after a while I realized that, you know, then the second we went to Comic-Con the next year, and we were in Hall H, which I don't know if you've ever been, but Hall H is massive. I think it's like 7,000 people. It was packed, standing room only, and people were screaming. So I was like, all right, we won them over. So, but there's still that one person, right? That one person that like hates Starbucks. Like, all right, sorry.
Hi.
Hi.
I just want to say, I just really love how you just kick ass all the time. But my question is about Power Rangers. Like, what was your kind of, when they threw the script at you, like, what did you think of it? And then I guess, what was your reaction to the reaction that the short film got?
What's so funny about Power Rangers, I don't know if some of you may not have seen it. It was insane, like 20 million views in 4 days. I've never seen anything like it. Like if that was a movie, it would have made over $200 million in opening weekend, which is like unheard of. So when Adi Shankar, who produced it, called me and asked me to do it, there wasn't a script. He just said, this is what we're gonna do, are you interested? And I was like, absolutely, that would be so cool. I always wanted to be the Pink Power Ranger. Like, I love me some Amy Jo Johnson. So I was really excited. And then I was really, you know, I saw the script and he's like, you don't get to fight though. And I was like, that sucks, I really wanted to fight. But it worked out perfectly because I was actually injured at the time. So had I had fight scenes, I wouldn't have been able to do them. So, but it was really fun. And then the reaction was pretty intense. Like, you know, it opened up a dialogue about copyright laws, especially in the United States and then the world. But, you know, it's, because ultimately at the end of the day, fan videos are just, you know, paying, holy Hannah. Fan videos are literally just paying respect to a project that you absolutely love, right? And all fan videos take some sort of, you know, I guess, you know, piece and, you know, kind of skate over that copyright law. And it's not a big deal because, you know, everyone knowingly admits in the business that it helps your show or it helps your movie because it's the fans just appreciating something. Well, it sort of freaked them out when, you know, 12.5 million people watched it in a day. I think that I think they got scared. I think they probably saw it and went, wow, this is not the Power Rangers we're making. I hope that people, you know, and I think they got a little freaked out and they pulled it. So anyway, yeah, but it was never meant to ever be a real thing. It was just kind of us having fun. Which is what you got into the business for in the first place, was to like play make-believe, you know, and like do this stuff. It's why we all come to conventions and dress up and, you know, it's fun. So, I don't know. Anyway, it was pretty awesome though.
Hi, Katee. Firstly, I watched the original series when it came out, and I really enjoyed your portrayal of Starbuck.
Thank you.
So, my question is, at what point did you think you were a Cylon? Because I thought you were.
This isn't a spoiler. I don't think. I mean, I guess it sort of is. Okay. Well, she's not. She's not. To me, she's not. I mean, I know there's people that think that she is, but all the numbers were taken, and she wasn't one of them. So, I don't know. Like, I never thought I was, because it's funny, because Ron Moore said in the very beginning when he was talking about the things you know for sure, he said, I know for sure, 100%, that Adama and Starbuck will never be silenced. So we knew that we weren't from day one, but when the final five were revealed, they were like dropping like flies, and we're like, maybe you lied to us, because, you know, you never know. And like there was like a lot of anger, you know, which I totally understood from some of the actors, in the sense that, you know, you play a character for so many years that you love, and you put so much of, invest so much of your heart and your soul to it, to then find out that everything you did was a lie. It's hard for some of the actors. They were a bit freaked out. I think Hogan was like, I quit. I walked out. So, yeah. Yeah, right?
What's your favourite role you've played and why?
The favorite role that I played, two actually. Well, that's not true. Yeah, I would say that I loved playing Sarah Corvus in Bionic Woman. I had a lot of fun on that show. And then the other one was I played a character in Workaholics, where I was a homeless drug addict. It's a comedy, just in case you don't know. I had so much fun doing that, because it was so far away from myself and anything that I'd ever gotten to do before, that I really kind of just went for it, and had a great time doing that. So yeah, it was pretty funny. Yeah, sorry.
Hi, my husband and I are big BSG fans. When I was watching the new one that you're in, I actually got the old one out of the library and watched it for about 15 minutes, and it was so camp I was embarrassed watching it, and I turned it off. So I think you've done a really, really good job. I'd just like to know, what was your worst acting job ever, and what made it really stink?
So, my friends and I have this game called Worst Ever. Do you remember that scene where Julia Roberts in Notting Hill, they fight over the last brownie, and she basically says she's been on a diet since she was 11, and they're like, you win. So we basically do the same thing with acting jobs, or some of our friends were models and they're writers, and we play Worst Ever when there's like one cookie left, and you have to win the worst job ever. So I did a movie called, and I win with this one quite a bit. Although, I don't know if you guys know who Ed Quinn is. So Ed Quinn was on Eureka. Ed Quinn has some really embarrassing modeling photos. Like some really embarrassing modeling photos. So he wins a lot. But so mine would be The Last Sentinel. And I did this movie because there was so much action in it. I had so much fun doing it, but I did the movie because they were gonna let me do all my own action, and I got to like fly out of windows and like do some stuff that they would never let you normally do, and there was a talking gun, and I think you can find it in the 99-cent bin at Kmart now, which actually you can probably find every DVD in the 99-cent bin at Kmart, but it's so bad that it's a drinking game in colleges. Every time the gun talks, they take a shot, which is a lot. It was really bad. Yeah, I mean really bad.
What was it like working on the set of Big Bang Theory?
So much fun. Again, you know, I don't get to do comedy a lot, so every time I do, I thoroughly enjoy it. It's nice to go to work and laugh instead of have to, you know, cry your eyes out and stuff. So it was so much fun. That scene with Wallowitz in the bathtub, the whole thing came up because they'd asked me to do another episode, and I didn't think that it was right because I was always going to play myself to a certain extent on Big Bang. And so Trisha Helfer did 2.5 Men, and Trisha can't do anything live without a shot of tequila because she gets nervous. And so they were going live, and she forgot her tequila at home. So I'm driving from the beach to the valley, which is only 12 miles, but in Los Angeles takes 2 hours. And trying to get her tequila in time so she can go on because she's petrified and she won't come out of her trailer. So I've got 2 little shots of Patron, and I'm like, I'm on my way! And I get there just in time to like give her tequila, and then she slammed the door in my face, and I was like, can't I watch? And she's like, go home! I was like, oh my god, she like turned into a demon. So anyway, as I was walking back to my car, Chuck Lorre just happened to be standing there, and he said, when are we going to get you on the show? And for some reason, because I had just left Trisha, it popped into my head, and I said, the only way I'll do Big Bang Theory is if I'm Wallowitz's number 6. And so that's kind of how that whole thing came up. And it was so funny, like, I don't know